Stroms. Rachel Tom. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Good. You like the guy? Okay. Awesome. Okay. People that are in the police force, though, detectives and stuff like that. Cool. Okay.
We need him those fields. We need him those fields.
Yeah, he's in a pretty rough location as far as the environmental attitude toward police officers. So it's pretty hostile.
I remember when I lived in Kentucky. Let's see, that was like 97, 98, I think. 97, 98, or that kind of time. That if you got pulled over, not to say I ever got pulled over, but I did. And when I got pulled over, they would have one police officer pull in front of you, one pull to the side, and one pull behind you, because there was a group of times where police officers would pull someone over and the person would kill the police officer to get away, and so they were doing that so you couldn't get away. And they were the police were not being treated well then. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's not. That's almost worse. Okay. All right. Hey, Carrie, you got any prayer requests? Sinclair? You have any prayer requests?
Yes, my children.
Yep. Yeah.
There's that visitor.
Hey, Sam, do you have any prayer requests?
I do. Same one.
John Roos. Yep. Have prayed for him today. Yep. But we'll continue to pray for him. Yep. That's a big one. Yep. 101 years old, right?
Yes, and 102 on Thanksgiving.
102 on Thanksgiving. And we're praying for him to come to know Jesus before he passes. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. See, Carrie said family. Anything else? Family. All right. Yep. All right. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you that we can come to you, and I thank you. Especially because of Jeff's prayer request, where he's seen friends recently where there were people that he had seen that had a walk with you, and now they don't have a walk with you, which I'm sure breaks his heart and breaks my heart, and I don't even know who he's talking about. But I'm grateful, God, to see similar faces in this room that I get to see. That they're not, suddenly rebelling against you and hating you, and that I get to see friends, and they're still trying to do what's right, and that does give me joy, Lord. I ask God you help Rachel's family's got all kinds of things going on. Her sister is being treated for cancer, and God, I ask you help the treatment beat it, and she'll be cancer free for the rest of her life. And God, her other sister's getting married, which some people kind of connect to cancer, but that it will be a fantastic, wonderful, you-based marriage. God, that would be awesome. And God, I ask you to protect her future husband, her sister's future husband, who is a police officer, because that is a hard field to be involved with. God, I ask you help you take care of Carrie and Becky. They want us to pray for their family. There's a lot. I mean, that word family could be, I could go 3 steps out and be praying for Mel, with adoption and Isaac's salvation and Aiden's skin, and I could go on and on. I could pray for hours just for their family. And so, God, I ask you to take care of all those in that family. God, I ask you take care of Sinclair wants us to pray for his family, especially his children. God, I ask you help his children to come to know you and to walk with you. And for Sinclair to have wisdom on how he can make that best easy and best desired for them to do. God, I ask you help. Sam wants us to pray for his father-in-law that he will come to know you, John Roos, and when I think of Amaya, we're not totally sure if Amaya is saved. I feel like there's hope because she's young and she has plenty of time to go, even though I may be wrong. But John Roos is 101, almost 102. He's not. He doesn't have as much time as Amaya probably. So God, I ask you help him to come to know you soon. We thank you for the things you've done and the things that you will do. In Jesus' name, amen. Aiden, I have the echo is because I had it so you can hear the prayer request. I will turn that off right now. So people are texting me saying, I hear echo. We are in for 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 40. You know what? I didn't do any of my own prayer requests. My kids are a little under the weather, and Linda's under the weather, and I have a nephew that I pray for all the time. I forgot my own prayer request. So please keep those things in prayer. We got a bunch of people that are feeling sick. Verse 40. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 40. Hey, Joe. We have a lot that I want to get through today. So what I'm going to do is this 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 40 through 43. I'm going to just summarize what happens here. When David is reinstated as king, Judah, the whole tribe of Judah, came and kind of welcomed him home and walked him into the castle, basically, and they had the celebration, like that, right? Well, the rest of Israel said, hey, we weren't invited to this party, right? And they were very upset about this. And they say, so the reason they were upset was because they weren't invited. Now, they knew it was going to happen. I don't think that they were just not invited. It wasn't like there was a party that they weren't invited to and there was no reason for them to not show up. But it was that they were worried that there was a higher connection with David and Judah than David and the rest of the country. And Judah says, hey, he is our kin. He is from the tribe of Judah, but we're not getting any special privileges here. We're not getting any more privileges than the rest of the country. So they used reason. But the people of Israel made some comment like, hey, you have 2% of 12 or 2 out of 12 tribes. We have 10 out of 12 tribes that are right in the king. You better watch it. And it says, I want to read this part that it says this. That the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. That means that hostility created more hostility that created more hostility. I watch this happen all the time at my house because basically what this is a family fight, right? Anyone that has more than one child has seen this. When you have only one child, you probably see it with them and their parents, right? Because I watched Amaya and Zofia do this today. Zofia will get a little close to Amaya. Amaya will poke Zofia in the eye or something like that. And then Zofia will hit Amaya, and then it escalates and escalates and escalates to the point that I was hearing this banging on the door, and what it was Amaya was trying to keep Zofia from opening the door and telling me that she just hit her. So it was finally, I had to open the door and push Amaya out of the way and get, kind of settle things down and restart the whole process because, 10 minutes later it was going to restart. That's what's going on. It escalated pretty fierce pretty bad. I'm a big believer of, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words cannot hurt me. I believe that to a point, but there's certain words you really shouldn't say. You know what I'm saying? Right? And we've had to tell Amaya that there's certain things that she's not allowed to say to Sophia. I don't want to say them because then you guys are going to think them whatever. No, it's not misinformation. It's disinformation. It's certain words that she's not allowed to call her sister. Because I don't want to tell you what those are because then you'll know what Zoe's sensitive about. But, hey, we all have some odd thing about us that we don't like when people, make fun of. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. I was going to start saying, Joe this and then going, but I'm not going to do that because, I don't want to see Joe cry. But they went for the hard words. You know what I'm saying? Like Linda and I, one of the things, joking or not, you're not allowed to say the D word. You're not allowed to say, hey, I should divorce you. You know what I'm saying? If that's not a word you should use. That is a word that goes too far. And so they used words that were too far. In chapter 20, verse 1 and 2, it says this, and there happened to be a rebel whose name was Sheba, the son of Berechiah, a Benjamite, and he blew a trumpet and said, we have no share in David, nor have we any inheritance in the son of Jesse, every man to his tent, so Israel. So every man of Israel deserted David and followed Sheba, the son of Berechiah, Bichri, I don't know. But the men of Judah from the Jordan, as far as Jerusalem, remained loyal to their king. See, what happened was this. Fierce words make more problems. See, if I'll use Linda and I as an illustration, right? If Linda says something that's a little mean, and then I say something that's a little meaner, and then Linda says something a little meaner, and then she hits me and chips my tooth, which she did do one time, she starts throwing knives at me. I'm not gonna say about if that happened or not, and then I use the D word. It escalates and escalates to the point that you get to a point where you're creating a divide that's really hard to heal. And you are forcing things to go further. See, what happens is, they might have, I said this to Zoe last week. I was reading, I think it was Timothy, and it talked about how when the elders of the church, and I think that means elders as in pastoral, but I also take that as elders as in not young anymore. Yes, Sinclair, I am looking at you. Well, but here's the thing. And Sinclair, you and I are a perfect illustration of this. Sinclair and I I consider him a good friend, and he and I have had times where he's had to call me out on things, right? And he is allowed to rebuke me because he has kids that are older than I am, okay? He can call me out and scold me. Now, if Sinclair does something wrong and I feel that I need to call him out, I cannot rebuke, I can exhort. There's a big difference. I was reading that passage, and Zoe came out, and I said something, and I said it wrong or whatever, and she's like, no, you gotta be did-it, and she did the little wig, and I was like, whoa, Zoe, this is what you gotta do. I want you to look up and figure out the difference between rebuke and exhort. And you gotta figure that out by the end of the day. She's like, or what? I was like, or you're going to get rebuked. See, I may have the obligation, especially as pastor, that to call someone out. But if someone is in a position of leadership over me, maybe just solely because of their age, I have to do it with kindness. And the actions and the fierce words were definitely not exhortations, they were rebuttals. And they created a divide, and to the point that they took it as confirmation of their no share in David. They took it as a confirmation that the people of Judah had a higher connection to the king than they did. The people, it's kind of like last night, Zofia and Amaya are feeling a little, they're not full sick. They maybe just wore out from VBS. Or they caught the mange that whoever brought it into the VBS did. I'm going to blame Carrie and Becky just because it's fun. Whoever got sick, whatever, there was some kind of, sickness got through or whatever. And I don't know if my girls have it or not. They maybe just wore out, okay? And last night, we told Zoe she needed to go to bed, and she said, I'm not tired. And she started yelling and crying, telling me that she's not tired. And it's like, you're proving me right. And that they're saying things, they proved that the people of Judah felt they had a higher power with the king than they did.
In some of these situations that we're talking about here, and I'm asking a little bit for clarification's sake, because there are some times when I think my personality kind of lends itself a lot more to having some of those fierce words. I think sometimes that I tend to be that way.
Yep.
Just say what you have to say, sometimes in truth. Sometimes speaking the truth in love, but sometimes when there is a situation where nobody will listen, or when there's logic out of what you say sometimes, you try to get a point across, or in dealings with other people, you and I say, or whatever the case, and we're just at loggerheads. And look, this is the way it's going to be. I'm not going to be able to have anything but these kinds of situations. It's hard to be able to walk away when there's such stuff that has to be resolved on the spot. So what do you do in these situations? How do you function?
Well, and here's the thing. And you can tell by the look on the other person's face if you're saying something or if you're hurting something. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I was talking to someone, and I felt like I was completely righteous in this situation because I was using Scripture. I was using the Bible. I was using the sword of the Lord. I was righteous, right? But then I realized I was using the sword of the Lord as a weapon, and I was cutting a brother down. And I could tell, not because of the way I said it, because I was oblivious of that, but because of the look on that guy's face. And sometimes we need to, if you're feeling that you're at a position of authority enough that you have the right to exhort or to rebuke, you also have to have the maturity and the concentration to keep an eye on the person you're talking to make sure that you're not crossing a line. The reason why you particularly could have a struggle with this is you're not offendable. It's one of the things I like about you. I could say something about you and you don't get offended as easily as other people. That's one of your strengths. So therefore, you're not as alert that something could be offensive because you don't get offended as easily. That's one of the reasons why I like being around you, because I can say things to you and you don't go, oh, Craig, you hurt my feelings. You've never said that to me, and I'm kind of glad. And so that's what we have to do. But on this whole feeling like the person that's in position of authority over you, you have no share in them, no ability to have an effect on that person. Anyone feel that? Anyone been feeling that about, say, our government or the Southern Baptist Convention right now? I mean, you're like, all right, we're going to go here and vote, but I'm sure there was times when you were voting, you're like, I wish I had a higher effect on the whole crowd so I could have everyone vote just like Sam. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a large group, it feels like you have less control. I'm sure that there's times that that's how they were feeling. The truth of the matter was, in this case, they were right, 100%. Because David's going to prove he's the one that really had control. We'll get to that later. Verse 3, it says this. Now David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he left to keep the house, and put them in seclusion and supported them, but did not go into them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. So he's kind of doing some house cleaning in a way, in the sense that the women that he had left home who were sexually assaulted by his son, that were his wives, he took care of them. In the sense that he made sure they were never in need for the rest of their life. And that almost sounds like it's all good, right? Except we need more than just a place to stay and food to eat. That means that they were shut up, they were secluded. That means there's no fun, no purpose, no drive for anything, no hope, no love. Basically, these 10 women were victims, lifelong victims of sin. They were collateral damage to the David-Absalom story, and they lived out that damage the rest of their life. Yeah, there's people that will actions that will create that level of problem. I would love to go into that more, but I want to get through some. And the king said to Amasa, "Assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present there yourself." So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba, the son of Berchai, will do more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest you find for himself fortified cities and escape us." So the first thing was this. They had a plan. They were going to pursue because of panic. Because David's like, I could have gotten out of the pot into the fire here. But there was a delay. I do construction, and my dad was talking to me about this yesterday, and he's right. He said, it's the nature of the beast of construction. There's always something that delays you. You need to start figuring that better in your numbers and in your scheduling and such, because I figure you heard of people that have photographic memory. I got photogenic memory. I've told you that before, where if I look back in memory in my brain's memory of pictures of you all look better than you do in person, okay? But I also have photogenic memory of the future, planning. I think things are going to work out better than they do in real life. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. So I don't know if it was his fault that David said, assemble the whole army in 3 days, but that does sound like something that should be feasible, because the army should be ready for an attack pretty quick. So he dropped the ball, and he created some panic, and David started to go other avenues because he was kind of dropping the ball. Verse 8, I'm going to read 8 through 9, 10 says, when they were at the large stone, which is at Gibron, Amasa came before them. Now Joab was dressed in battle armor. On it was a belt with a sword fastened in its shield and at his hips. And as he was going for it, it fell out. Then Joab said to Amasa, "Are you in health, my brother?" And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa did not notice the sword was in Joab's hand, and he struck him with it in the stomach, and his entrails poured out on the ground, and he did not strike him again. Thus he died. Okay, he was killed not because of great swordsmanship, but out of deception. I don't think the sword fell out by accident. That's Greg's thought. You know what I'm saying? I think Joab was a skilled warrior. He knew what he was doing when he dropped the sword so that he would look like he is ready for battle. There's so many movie pictures pop in my mind of someone that everyone thinks he's unarmed, and they don't realize that he or in other movies, she had a weapon that no one knew that they had. You know what I'm saying? And suddenly, and all these people are like, aha, and then they go, oh yeah, forgot. And it was planned out. But why? Well, I think one of the things was Joab is annoyed because he is in the out. He is not in good position with David because of David's son, Absalom, because Joab killed Absalom. I'm sure that there was some hostility rolling there. But Amasa was with Absalom. And then David promoted the betrayer over the loyal. Can I be honest with you? I don't think that was a great idea. I don't think that was a good idea. What happens is, and not to get into geopolitical things, but when our country shows a higher level of connection to our enemies over our allies, we have people that are feeling fearful with us. And the other thing is, maybe the reason why he did this was, well, it kills two birds with one stone. He kills the guy that was the betrayer, cleans up the whole situation with Absalom, right? Then he's the one that's going to be in control of the military to kill this other guy that he's going after, and he's going to maybe get him in good graces with the king again. It's a win-win, kind of win situation. I don't think this looks good, and I sure don't think it looks pretty. Do you think this is right or wrong? You know what? To be honest with you, I'm not even going to open that up for discussion in a lot of ways because I think it sure looks wrong. Sure looks wrong to me. Because you know what? Two wrongs don't make a right. Why does it look wrong? Because the king had put this man in a position of authority, and his Amasa and Joab, the one that was below him, killed him, and did not kill him in even a fair fight. Killed him by deception. So it just does not. And if I do recall, this is one of the things that David refers to later on in Scripture that says Joab needs to be punished for. So this is something that he is held accountable for later on. So that's a good sign to me that there was an incorrectness in this. That's one of the reasons why I don't know what I think about the Absalom thing, because he was never held account for that. He was held account for this, though. Another thing is this. This is the third time he's killed someone that's had a connection. You know what I'm saying? Abner, remember when Abner was the way to unify the Saul's people and David's people, and then Joab kills him. And then, Absalom, David, trying to take the position, Joab kills him. And now this guy. I wonder if the people that are around David are feeling like, well, the Afghan translators, I don't know if you know what's going on with the Afghan translators, but in Afghanistan, we had people help our soldiers translate for them and be their translators. So everyone knew that these people were with our soldiers, and when our soldiers are being pulled out, these people are being left there, and they're going to be slaughtered. Our country should take those people and protect them. But because we're not doing that, or not doing it fast enough, when we go into another country, people are like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you. By the way, also, every time we go into a country and we start a war and we destroy everything, and then we, try to stay there and help the people out, and they don't want help a lot of times, we leave, and we leave the place a mess. So next time, other countries might not want to call us to help. We got a reputation. This is affecting David's reputation. If you help David and you kind of create a peace, his right-hand man may cut your head off or take your entrails out, which sounds even worse. With the Abner thing, he did clean up. And I wonder, I don't think there was anything personal in that. No, there was. I forgot. Because Abner killed his brother. But the Absalom thing, there was cleanup, and there was some semi-personal. There was some personal things, because he felt bad that he had promoted Absalom. But on this one, it was cleanup, and it was fully personal. It was fully personal because it was all about self-promotion. We talked about one of the things that we've talked about in this class is how to know if something's right or wrong, and one of the ways is, what is your motive? And I think that the reason why he's called out higher for this one than any of the other actions is because I don't think it was a good motive. It was a motive. To kill someone for your promotion does not sound like a good idea. Kamala Harris, if you're listening, don't kill someone for promotion. It's a joke. I don't think she's going to kill Joe Biden. He's going to die on his own. But it wasn't a good thing. Wasn't a good thing. Joe, that would be another way we can tell if it's a rebuke or an exhortation, is what is your motive? Are you trying to just make your point, or are you trying to help the person do what's right? Sometimes both. And that's a problem. Yeah. I could see your face, and I was like, hey. See, I was trying to be in tune. But I think that's sometimes we have to kind of keep an eye on what our motive is, because there's sometimes we don't like to be wrong. Even you don't like to be wrong. The reason why I laughed is because the person that popped in my mind was your daughter. She does not like to be wrong. She does not like to be wrong. I've seen her in classes. If she will fight even if she's wrong, because she doesn't like to be wrong. And so, so that's where I think he did wrong. But and I think it gets even worse in some ways, because verse 11 says this: meanwhile, one of Joab's men stood near Amasa and said, whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, follow Joab. But Amasa wallowed in his blood in the middle of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the highway to a field and threw a garment over him. When he saw that everyone who came upon him halted. When he was removed from the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Ziba, the son of Bertrai. This is like insult to injury. You leave the guy's dead body right in the road, and everyone can walk by. It was almost like, that's brutal. That's brutal. I know he's dead. Like, when I die, you can do whatever you want with my body. If you really want to, you can use it as a mannequin or something like that. I don't care. I really don't. That being said, if you use my body as a mannequin, you're probably going to tick off Linda. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be like, come on. That's not what you should be using Greg for. I don't know. She would have a better use for me or something. I have no idea. But it's like insult to injury. I think this pettiness slows down slows you down and slows down the pursuit of God and God's missions. Have you noticed this? When people get petty about things in churches, in families, when they get to the point where they're doing insult to injuries, they slow down the flow going the right direction. But I think whether, hush. And then this, whoever's with David is with Joab thing. That's the whole Mott and Bailey thing, which I think I've talked about in this class. You know what I'm saying? The Mott and Bailey is, the Mott is the closest thing to the castle. The Bailey is the furthest thing from the castle. If you're like, I'll use the Black Lives Matter thing. If you say, the person says, Sam, do you think that Black Lives Matter? And Sam's like, sure. And then you're like, great. So you're okay with being a Marxist with the Black Lives Matter? And Sam goes, no. Oh, so you don't believe that Black Lives Matter? See, what happened was you're trying to make the person hold on to one thing because they're standing with one thing. So you believe in, want to stick with David? Yes. So you're going to stick with Joab even though he just slaughtered this guy in the street? No. So you're saying you don't believe that we should stick with David? You see the connection? That's kind of Mott and Bailey. You can do that with all kinds of things. It's a great way of arguing, except it's a fallacy. It's not a proof of truth. Yes, Sam? Huh? Yes, it is. It is. It's bad logic. That's why I said a fallacy. Yes, sir.
It doesn't stand together.
It does not work. It does not work.
But a lot of people are falling for it
Yep.
in our culture.
And they were semi-falling for it here, but what they did was they moved him to the side. They hid the body. It was, they put him underneath the rug, so to speak, so people could get back to work. But by the way, this is scary too. I'll use organizations we're not part of, like the Catholic Church and the Olympic Committee, where they'll hide pedophiles and stuff like that. They won't punish or persecute them because they don't want it to mess things up. That's not good either. And I think that's part of the proof that things weren't done correctly. They should have, if they did it, if he had done it and it was 100% correct, it wouldn't be slowing things down and it would be something he would stand next to. Now, I'm not saying leave the dead body out there, but I am saying you don't want to hide it. Because all the people were halting. They knew what wrong had happened, but they wanted the monster to be on their side. And we have to watch out of our desire for that too. So what can we get out of this? I think we can get out of this that hostilities can fester and create bad things. And that, Joab, in a way, was doing a good thing. He was doing a service to the country. He was cleaning up the last rebellion, but he might have taken it too personal and had the wrong motives. And he definitely went too far, I think, because he is not just exhorted, he was rebuked for this later on in physical form. And so we need to watch how we do that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you. I thank you for your word. I thank you that we have I guess in some ways we're being rebuked and exhorted to watch how we treat people around us. That we don't use fallacies, Mott and Bailey's or slander or anything like that when we're talking to people, but we will use love and we will try to unify. We thank you for the love that you have and the way you treat us. We thank you, we praise you, and we love you back. In Jesus' name, amen.